Let's go over to the world of venture capital. We're going to go to Peter Thiel. We're talking about a Bitcoin startup, River Financial, raising a pretty significant round here in a down market, $35 million, nothing to sneeze at. To me, what the story is here is finding Bitcoin startups in a sea of Web3 startups that are possibly investable. And a Series B here is certainly an investable team. So I want to talk about that. I think I think it was Nick Carter who kind of famously said, Web3 investment saw like billions and billions of dollars of investment during the last bull run, but he wasn't able to deploy $100 million in capital to Bitcoin startups because there weren't Bitcoin startups out there in numbers. So now I think we're starting to see that conversation shift a little bit, where there are Bitcoin only teams that are kind of riding this wave of excitement around what Bitcoin can be as an alternative to the banking system. And additionally, with some of these inscriptions and ordinals and all this stuff that we're seeing pop up on the Bitcoin blockchain. So anyway, I'll toss it to Danny for some initial thoughts on this. It is just a funding round story, but I think there are some interesting ideas behind it.
Yeah, River's been around for a pretty long time at this point, all things considered, and they offer a lot of what I guess you would consider to be traditional Bitcoin services, from brokerage accounts to Lightning plugins to that, and that's the core services that they offer to the world. You have to wonder, though, now that there are just new ways of using Bitcoin with BRC20 and with ordinals, inscriptions, all this kind of stuff. I wonder how those developments either played into this funding round, or more likely are now going to be playing into how River thinks about its future, because Bitcoin is evolving so quickly that if you're a Bitcoin company, then you have to be prepared to expand your services too. Jen?
Yeah, Bitcoin is really having its day in the sunshine, right? And I think when we're raising money, you have to always think about the narrative that the company, the startup, is telling investors. And the River CEO said, these bank failures and bailouts have been a reminder of why Bitcoin is so important. And now is the time to tell that story, right? Now is the time where investors get that emotional reaction to these bank failures. A lot of people in Silicon Valley were banking with these banks. And so it makes total sense that this is the narrative that they would use to raise this capital. I think if we look from a regulatory perspective, Gary Gensler has said, Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency that he doesn't view as a security. And now we have Bitcoin doing other things. We have BRC20 tokens, we have ordinals. The only bad thing right now is the congestion that Bitcoin is experiencing from all of the transactions, all of the actions. And what do you need to solve these problems? It's more money. So it just makes sense to me. Zach?
You think money is always the answer? You think money is always the fix here? Just throw some money at it and see what happens. I think that just take the money. Just take the money. Fix it. Fix the
fees. Make it work. We believe, but it needs to work.
And the devs do
If you give me enough money, I'll fix the problem, I swear.
There you go. Credits River here for raising, again, despite sort of dismal conditions in the greater VC world. So the idea that, as Danny alluded to, these are pretty traditional brokerage stuff, right? But these investors are clearly seeing promise, and maybe even sort of trying to position themselves early for that next big run up in Bitcoin, right? These are these sort of funding rounds that get these firms to, growth stage, right? Where you get revenue on board, all that good stuff. And then sometimes, the multiples on those investments, really become quite large when these valuations climb and potential exits await, because it is a more traditional model than I think some, purely crypto investments at the layer 1 or layer 2 level. So anyway, the Bitcoin narrative is certainly back, and I think we're probably likely going to see more Bitcoin specific startups, I think, in the funding conversation, something that would previously have existed on, Ethereum or other layer 1s becoming big sort of, generators of VC activity. I feel like we're going to see more Bitcoin only startups sort of riding, again, this new wave of interest given some of these technological developments. But hey, all right, who wants the last word on this one? Danny?
I'll take it here. We haven't talked yet about the man right at the start of the headline, Peter Thiel. He has been involved in Bitcoin for a while now. I remember him on stage, I think at Bitcoin 2021, waving a $100 bill in the air. I think he even lit it on fire for the audience. He is very much thinking about, or at least telling the world that he's thinking about Bitcoin as this adversarial currency that will help us move away from the dollar. And I think that's important for us to think about here too. how are these Bitcoin startups actually trying to position this world for development, for that future of France, future of finance, developments in the future financial ecosystem. They're going for revolution here, and they've got the money that they think they can do it with.
Yep, and this is Peter Thiel participating individually, but of course, Founders Fund, certainly a big player in crypto investing, brought on Joey Krug, formerly of Pantera Capital, who spoke at Consensus and shared some big ideas about what he's going to be doing, leading crypto investments over at Founders Fund.